It was a breezy Saturday evening in a quiet neighborhood park just outside Reno, Nevada. The kind of place where families gathered with picnic blankets, kids chased soccer balls under a soft golden sky, and teenagers scrolled through their phones with earbuds tucked in. Seated alone beneath a towering oak, 16-year-old Tyler flipped through the pages of a worn paperback, keeping his promise to his mom to wait for his little brother, Dylan, whose soccer practice was winding down nearby. Dressed sharply in a black suit and polished shoes, Tyler was a striking figure among the weekend crowd, but he kept to himself, lost in the rhythm of the words on the page. That is, until the distant roar of motorcycle engines sliced through the evening calm. Normally, that kind of noise would fade quickly, just another group cruising past, their engines grumbling louder than necessary. But this time was different. The bikers didn't pass by. Instead, they rolled up slowly and parked just a few yards from the soccer field. 5 of them, clad in worn leather jackets and heavy boots, stepped off their bikes and surveyed the park like they were looking for something, or someone. Their eyes locked on Tyler. He noticed them too. A brief glance, nothing more, but it was enough. Something in their stare made the air feel heavier. He turned back to his book, pretending not to care, but the tension in his gut didn't go away. One of them, a thick-set man with a shaved head and arms like steel beams, motioned to his crew and started walking straight toward him. Tyler felt their boots crunching on the gravel path before he even looked up. When he finally did, 3 of them were closing in fast, their faces unreadable but their intentions sharp as glass. The leader stopped just a few feet away. "What are you doing here, kid?" he asked, voice gravelly and blunt. Tyler lifted his chin slightly. "Waiting for my brother," he said, calm but firm. The man exchanged a knowing smirk with the others. "Doesn't look like your kind of place." Tyler held his gaze. "It's a public park." The man's smile faded. "Got a smart mouth, huh?" he muttered, stepping closer. His crew began to spread out, forming a loose half-circle around the oak tree. All around, the park carried on as if nothing was wrong. Parents chatting, kids laughing, but under that oak, time slowed. Tyler scanned the space, hoping someone might glance his way, but the bikers had chosen their moment perfectly. Most eyes were still on the field, where Dylan's practice was ending. Tyler's mind shifted gears. He wasn't afraid, at least not yet, but he was alert. Karate had taught him more than kicks and blocks. It taught him control. Fighting was never step one. It was the last resort. "Look," he said evenly, "I don't want any trouble. I'm just here for my brother." But the man didn't move. Instead, he leaned in, face far too close. "Trouble?" he said, voice dipped in mock surprise. "Who said anything about trouble?" Tyler could feel the weight of their stares, the silent dare humming in their posture. His hands rested loosely on his knees, but every muscle was ready. Then the man spoke again, this time a sneer in his voice. "Maybe you should show us what you've got." The others chuckled quietly, but Tyler didn't flinch. He didn't rise. He didn't blink. He just watched. Years of training had sharpened his instincts, how to read the smallest twitch in a shoulder, the change in someone's breathing, the way menace moved in a stance. And these men? They weren't here to chat. What happens when intimidation slams into unshakable discipline? That's the lesson a pack of bikers never expected to learn one quiet Saturday evening in the sleepy town of Westbrook, Maine. The sun was dipping low over the park's tree-lined edge, where families laughed, kids kicked soccer balls, and teens scrolled on their phones without a care. 17-year-old Ethan sat beneath a towering maple, dressed sharply in a slim black suit, polished shoes, and a crisp white shirt, calmly flipping through a paperback as he waited for his little brother, Dylan, to finish soccer practice, something he'd promised their mom he'd do. The peaceful hum of the evening was suddenly sliced open by the thunderous roar of motorcycle engines. At first, no one paid much attention. It wasn't rare for a few riders to cruise past, but this time they didn't ride through. 5 bikers pulled in and parked, their worn leather jackets and dark jeans clashing hard with the soccer moms and juice boxes. They weren't joking around or making small talk. Their eyes scanned the park until they settled on Ethan, and they locked in like they'd found something, or someone, they were looking for. Ethan noticed. He glanced up, clocked their gaze, and went right back to his book, trying not to let the knot in his stomach grow. But when a bald, broad-shouldered biker peeled away from the group and strode toward him with 2 others flanking behind, Ethan knew this wasn't casual curiosity. Gravel crunched under their boots as they approached. He could feel the weight of their presence pressing in. Still, his face stayed composed. His mother's voice echoed in his mind. Never let them see you sweat. He calmly folded the page in his book and set it down. "What are you doing out here, kid?" the big one asked, his tone low and gravelly. Ethan met his gaze evenly. "Waiting for my brother," he said, voice polite, but unwavering. The man smirked. "Doesn't look like your kind of place." Ethan's jaw clenched slightly. "It's a public park," he said, holding firm. The smirk vanished. "Got a smart mouth, huh?" the man muttered, stepping closer. The trio widened their stance, forming a half circle around Ethan. Nearby, families remained unaware, most eyes still glued to the soccer game. No one noticed the storm brewing under the maple. Ethan scanned the field. How much longer until Dylan wrapped up? Would anyone even see what was about to happen? Just as the tension hit its peak, a voice rang out. "Leave him alone." It was high-pitched, bold, and familiar. Ethan's heart skipped. Dylan had wandered off the field, still sweaty from the game, standing just yards away. "Dylan, stay back," Ethan called, keeping his voice steady, but the bikers turned, grinning like wolves. "This your brother?" one sneered, pointing at Dylan. "Maybe we teach both of you a little respect." Ethan's pulse spiked, not from fear, but from resolve. He stood slowly, eyes locked on the group, feet sliding into a familiar stance drilled into muscle memory over years in the dojo. "Don't touch him," he said, his voice quiet but edged like a blade. The big biker laughed, shaking his head. "Look at this guy. Thinks he's some kind of hero." Laughter echoed behind him, but Ethan didn't blink. His stillness unsettled them more than a scream ever could. "You're not going to do anything," one of them said, stepping forward. Ethan didn't move until he did. "You don't want to do this," he said, calm as stone. For a beat, they paused, thrown off by his composure, but the leader charged forward, reaching to shove him. What happened next caught them all off guard. As the biker's hand lunged, Ethan shifted sideways with laser precision. Like a coiled spring released, he snapped into action, grabbing the biker's wrist mid-motion and twisting it away with a strike so swift the man stumbled back, grunting. "What the—" he began, but Ethan cut him off. "I warned you," he said, still as cool as ever. The others rushed him. One threw a wild punch. Ethan ducked low and drove a sharp kick into the man's knee. He collapsed instantly, howling. The second attacker froze, just long enough for Ethan to spin and drive a powerful kick into his ribs, sending him staggering back, gasping. Now it was personal. The burly leader, red-faced and seething, charged like a freight train, fists flying. But Ethan danced around him with fluid ease, every move calculated and crisp. A small crowd began to gather. Parents, players, phones raised. Someone was filming. The biker lunged again, trying to grab Ethan's lapel, but Ethan twisted free and struck him square in the solar plexus. The biker reeled, choking for breath. Ethan didn't press the attack. He stood tall, voice rising just enough to carry. "Enough!" The word echoed across the grass. "I don't want to hurt you. Walk away." For a moment, time froze. The leader clutched his chest, panting. The others writhed on the ground, groaning. The crowd watched, wide-eyed and silent. Finally, the big man growled through clenched teeth, "Let's go." And just like that, they left, defeated not by brute strength, but by something stronger. Control, training, discipline. Ethan didn't win with fists, he won with restraint. The bikers limped back to their motorcycles, cursing under their breath as their engines sputtered to life. But just as they began to pull away, the leader twisted in his seat and jabbed a finger toward Ryan. "This ain't over, kid," he snarled before roaring off with the others into the fading light. Ryan didn't say a word. He stood still, breathing evenly as the grumble of engines dissolved into the distance. Around him, a crowd had gathered. Parents, kids, even players from nearby fields, now erupting into applause, a ripple of disbelief and admiration moving through them. Ethan ran up, his small face pale and wide-eyed, equal parts frightened and amazed. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice trembling. Ryan knelt, placing a steady hand on his little brother's shoulder, giving him a faint smile. "I'm good. Let's go home." As they walked, the late afternoon sun stretching long shadows on the sidewalk, neither spoke. The quiet between them wasn't uncomfortable, just full. Ethan kept glancing up at his brother, his mind turning over what he'd just seen. Finally, unable to hold back, he whispered, "How did you do all that?" They were huge, and there were 3 of them. Ryan chuckled softly, brushing a hand through his hair. "It's not about being bigger," he said. "It's about being ready, staying calm, knowing when to move." Ethan frowned. "But what if they come back? That guy said it wasn't over." Ryan stopped, turning to face him. "If they do, we'll deal with it. But listen, today wasn't about fighting. It was about standing up. For myself. For you. You don't fight unless it's the last option, understand?" Ethan nodded slowly, the words sinking in. Ryan gave his shoulder a gentle squeeze. "It's not about proving strength. It's about knowing your value and not letting anyone take that from you." When they reached home, their mom stood on the porch, arms crossed, her eyes scanning them with concern. "You're late," she said, voice tight with worry. Ryan hesitated, glancing at Ethan, who remained quiet. "Something happened at the park," Ryan said carefully. He didn't want to scare her, but honesty mattered. As he explained, her expression shifted from alarm to a quiet, tearful pride. "Ryan," she said, once he finished, her voice thick, "I'm proud of you, but promise me something. Don't take risks like that unless you have no other choice." "I promise," Ryan said, and he meant it. That night, lying in bed, he replayed it all. The tension, the fight, the faces in the crowd, the biker's parting threat. "This ain't over, kid." But Ryan wasn't afraid. He'd learned long ago that fear only had power if you let it. What he felt now wasn't fear. It was purpose. The world didn't always play fair, but moments like this reminded him that courage and discipline mattered. This wasn't just a test of his skills, it was a call to remember what he stood for. Ryan's story is a powerful reminder of resilience, preparation, and knowing when to take a stand. His calm in the face of danger shows that real strength isn't about size or noise, it's about character. If this story inspired you, think about how you can stand up, for yourself or someone else, when it counts. Because courage doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means doing what's right, even when you are. If this message moved you, give the video a like, share it with someone who needs a reminder of their own strength, and subscribe for more real stories that show how quiet courage can echo loudest.